for Desrow and all the Desi fans out there. I'd be very happy for him if he makes it into Premier League, but once more, don't underestimate Apocalypse because he's hella good.
Let's go ahead and hop into game. Game number 1 on Heavy Rain, where we can see spawning here in the top of the map. Representing Team IVD, his name is Apocalypse, and he's got a very cool spinning IVD logo right there beside his command center. Apocalypse, as you said, Kevin, recently performing very well in a small kind of local Louisiana event. That was his last tournament before heading back to Korea, and he performed well there. So safe to say he's got a little bit of momentum moving into this series. His opponent down in the bottom half of the screen, the Blue Protoss player, the Canadian, he is Desrow. Desrow finished up last season unranked in the WCS, but looks to change that here in 2014 and is poised to make it into the Premier League if he can get past Apocalypse.
But he did gather himself a couple of WCS points. So despite being unranked, despite not being one of the, I think it was 150 best, he must have been very close, or maybe the best 100 were only ranked. But he did gather himself a couple of WCS points, because once more, last season was even the season where some very good established North American players said, like, I'm not going to try to qualify, it's too hard, I'm going to try Europe instead with latency. But then actually Desrow did qualify himself, so that was an awesome achievement. And now this season he just did it all over again. I believe he made it through the ladder qualifier, is that correct, Ben? Was that the one that he made it through? Either way, Desrow looked solid, and he looked really good in that series. The way he played against Jon Snow, especially on a map like Daedalus. Of course, different matchup, PvZ, but he looked really solid. It was awesome casting his games, and I very much look forward to this best of 5, man. I think we're in for a treat.
It looks like Apocalypse is showing us a very standard Terran opening. He's got his gas, he's got his barracks. That's almost 100% for the Reaper. Reaper expand. You know, I've been screaming about it for years, Kevin. It has finally become standard.
The Reaper got a little better as well.
Actually, we're seeing Reactor first, so perhaps I was wrong.
Maybe a double Reaper opening.
It could also still be the double Reaper. Either way,
it could still be a Reaper and a Marine as well.
Reaper expand, a viable opening because it gives such good scouting. Maybe as the meta has evolved, players have just assumed that Protoss is going to be extremely greedy and have been cutting the Reaper out a little bit.
No, I think what he's going to do is make one Reaper and then Marine. So his Marine production starts a little quicker than it normally does, because normally if you make one Reaper and then you have to wait for the reactor, that slows your Marine production down a little bit. And this is a pretty okay map to go for some Stargate shenanigans. It's easy to hide a Stargate, so perhaps this way he's just going to have some more Marines to work with. Actually, he's going to go double Reaper.
Yep, 2 Reapers to start things off here, as Apocalypse not only going for the good early scout, but going to try to do a little bit of harassment as well, even opting to block the natural expansion with an engineering bay. That can be very frustrating for a Protoss player to deal with if they skip that Zealot. Desi did make the Zealot, so he will be able to drop his expansion more or less on time.
Yeah, wasn't really delayed all that much. Curious to see what Apocalypse is going to achieve with his double Reaper. There is still a Probot on the map for Desrow as well. I don't think it has any very devious intentions. I think it's just going to stick around there for a while, and then he's going to suicide it into the natural, maybe before dropping a pylon, but I don't think he's going to do something super crazy with it. So for now it will all just come down to defending your main. Don't lose too many probes to these silly Reapers. Of course, you don't really want to use a photon overcharge against 2 Reapers, but don't underestimate 2 Reapers, man. I, for one, am notorious for losing a lot of probes to Reapers.
I like that Desrow's got the Mothership Core patrolling close by, but he's still going to take some damage. 1 probe goes down, 2nd probe.
Great micro already by Apocalypse. The way that he pulled that 1 Reaper to the side a little bit, getting 2 probes already, keeping both Reapers alive for now. That's already a solid opening.
Phenomenal, man. Sees everything and kills 2 probes. Apocalypse gets a great start here, as we can see him dropping his command center behind this aggression. He's getting his 2nd gas as well, adding barracks.
He's playing very safe. I'm a little surprised that he's that safe. But once more, Heavy Rain is a good map for Protoss players to cheese on. Playing Stalker all-ins are excellent on this map. Stargate play, or the proxy Stargate or whatever, is excellent. We can even see a missile turret going down already in the main base from APOC. APOC is very worried, man.
Yeah, doesn't want to take any chances. Reaper's going to make another appearance in the main base, and they're not going to really see much. And he's, at this point, perhaps scratching his head a little bit, saying, oh, I guess you are just going to expand and play standard.
You know, like in the old days, Desrow may have had a reputation for being a cheesy player. I think these days even the opposite is true. Whenever I watch this game, he always makes a very solid passive impression on me. Desrow just likes to get up to 3, if not 4 bases, and then just starts harassing with gateway units all over the map. That's kind of what I think of Desrow these days. So Apoc perhaps getting a little too defensive over here, but he's going to use that quick eBay to get +1 as well, and that's going to even things out in the long run.
And his Reapers continue to scout well. He lost one in the natural, but his second Reaper spotted not just the Robo, but also the Forge in the back of Desi's base. So if Apocalypse was unsure before, now he's absolutely certain that Desrow is going to be sitting back and waiting for that upgrade to finish before he thinks about doing anything crazy or aggressive.
With this build that Apocalypse had, he's going to have relatively quick medevacs. He only has 2 Rexes, so he didn't play like super overly safe with 3 Rex or delaying gases or anything like that. He should still be able to have medevacs around 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and then Stim should be finishing up as well. Desrow is going to go up to quick robotics play. He likes to open up Colossus before High Templars. There's still going to be a small phase in the game where I think he's going to be a little susceptible to aggression. And while I say it, actually we see a pretty large Bioforce making its way across the map.
This could be that phase in the game where he is a little bit vulnerable. The Observer should have seen this. I don't know
but
if
he doesn't have a single sentry.
Knows exactly what's up. Maybe he wasn't looking when the Observer crossed over this army. There is no force field. There is a Mothership Core with energy for Time Warp and Photon Overcharge.
He's going to pull the Mothership Core out of position now. Desrow knows what's going on. He's like, no, I'm not going to fall for that. He's going to need Photon Overcharge right here and right now, though.
Yep, and he's going to drop it immediately. Now, with no medevacs, Terran stick around forever. But Stim wasn't done, so Stim wasn't used, which means that Apocalypse can come back for another pass as soon as that Photon Overcharge expires. Desrow is trying to get a Colossus out and should get a Colossus out before the Photon Overcharge finishes up. But you know what he's not going to have? He's not going to have Extended Thermal Lance.
And he's actually, he's going to only get 1 Colossus. Maybe he's going to do like the oldest Protoss trick in the book, and that's just show 1 Colossus, but immediately transition into High Templars, which I didn't expect from Desrow. I thought he was that he liked to get at least up to 3-4 Colossus or 2 Colossus and Lance before he goes into something else. Either way, Ben, Apocalypse already forced a Photon Overcharge. He might force another Photon Overcharge soon, because here comes the Stim. Now he should just back off immediately after he sees that Colossus. But let's not forget, now by the time that the medevacs show up, Desrow won't have Mothership Core energy anymore. And, Baby Knight has taught me that having energy, Ben, is super, super important. And in this phase of the game, it is going to be very important, especially if Desrow doesn't really want to commit to the Colossus. Now we can see that's not the case. He is indeed making a second one, but still, it's going to be tricky for him to split up his army in a proper way, because he has very little to work with, and he's not going to have Photon Overcharge to work with. So far, fantastic game by Apocalypse. The way that he's forcing out those Photon Overcharges, the way that he's very active with very little. He's just setting himself up for that phase in the game that starts in the next 20 seconds, and then it's going to be hard for Desrow not to take any damage.
So far, Desrow's avoided the worst of it, and he will have a second Colossus here momentarily. But with 2 medevacs out on the map, Apocalypse can start being aggressive in more than just one place. He's still got a formidable hit squad on the ground, and with double drop.
Did Desrow see the double drop leave? I don't think so. His Observer was close, but perhaps not close enough. He doesn't have vision to the edges of his base either, Ben. Here comes that first hit squad, and that's going to pick off a few probes.
Yes, it sure is, Kev. Pylon's going to go down first. Maybe a cannon's going to go down next. And I think as soon as Apocalypse realizes that the army's coming, he should send something into the natural as well.
Blink is ready, though. Blink is ready.
Oh, and that's a perfect blink. He will pick off a single medevac, but at the same time, the natural completely exposed. This Nexus might go down. It does, and Apocalypse.
Sick play by Apoc so far.
Trading 1 medevac for an entire base. That's fantastic play from Apocalypse, and Desrow realizing that he's got to do something about it.
It's hard to keep track of these medevacs on Heavy Rain, man. Like I said, there's a lot of safe space around. Now these 2 Marines and a few Marauders are going to run into this natural line. He's going to force these probes not to mine. He's only mining off 1 base, so this is really painful. Above all, he's once more going to lose a handful of workers. The medevac will survive for now.
This time it gets away.
This is really solid play by
Man, Apocalypse has been so aggressive, and Kevin behind it, he's taken a 3rd base. He's adding extra infrastructure. He's getting a 2nd starport. He's got how many barracks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 racks. One of them's not rallied. 2 of them aren't rallied, in fact, or have left a couple units behind. But just phenomenal play from Apocalypse. Like, he's been as aggressive as he can possibly be while still being very greedy. So a very cool opening, very cool early game from APOC. He finds himself up about 50 supply.
What's important as well, Ben, is that he is on double starport, so he's producing 3 Vikings at a time. Yes, Desrow has a nice upgrade advantage, because the only thing that Desrow has going for himself is that he's on double forge. I don't like, Ben, that he's getting charged right now before Storm. Perhaps he feels like he's not going to get time, but I feel in a straight up game he's not going to get back into this one anymore. He's too far behind economically. There's no way that APOC is going to give him the time to, you know, get in that phase where, okay, let's just both max out or something like that. He's going to need something that can somehow change the tides of a battle, and I feel that Storm is the only game saver that Protoss has, because even with charge he's not going to have the overwhelming amount of zealots that he needs, because he simply doesn't have the economy for that.
Desi's trying to take a third base. He's trying to bring himself back economically. It's going to be very tough, though. He's down more than 50 supply. Apocalypse's numbers are just booming right now. 90 army supply to 55. And as you pointed out, he's working on a double starport. He's got tons of infrastructure in place. He's getting his upgrades. 2-2 on the way now for Apocalypse, and you know, he's going to push here in the next couple of minutes, and he's going to have a 70 or 80 supply lead.
He's going to push within the next 30 seconds, I think. He's going to take out these rocks. He's going to march across the map. Yes, there are a few blink stalkers over here for Desrow. You know, normally in an even phase in the game, Desrow could use that blink to keep the Colossus alive, start sniping Vikings, but right now the army is just overwhelming for Apocalypse. He's been outmining his opponent severely throughout the last 4 or 5 minutes in this game. Absolutely perfect game, man, by APOC. he looks very, very good in game 1.
Yes, he sure did, man.
And I hate to call games that are over before they're over, but you know, I can hardly pretend like this is going to be possible for Desrow to hold, because I believe in Protoss miracles, but without Storm, an overwhelming amount of Vikings to take care of the Colossus.
Desi's even in a very awkward spot, managing to find the army with his stalkers. He's going to lose a single stalker just immediately, and APOC is not looking like he wants to give Desrow a chance to bounce back. Photon Overcharge is going to go down, and pretty good force field is going to go down as well. Now the Vikings overhead will begin picking away at the Colossi. This is a good fight for Desrow. This is about as good of a fight as you can hope for. Every single Viking's going to get killed. And do you believe in miracles?
Well, perhaps now I should, Ben, as those were indeed as good as forces as he could have possibly wished for. He had very little to work with. That second Colossus didn't even go down. APOC perhaps just like on autopilot there a little too much. Desrow should still be careful. He does still have that upgrade advantage. Forward blink going down right now. Wow, have I ever been wrong, Ben? I mean, APOC is still in good shape, but that was miraculous for Desrow.
Yeah, Desi, what looked like certain death is going to keep himself alive. He's established his third base. It is safe. It is secure. And he can start playing for the later game. Apocalypse is not done being aggressive, though. Dropping in the back of the natural. 8 Marines might manage to pick up a pylon or 2, but...
the fact that Colossus had +2 armor against 0-0 Vikings, that was also really important. I thought that the Viking number was easily good enough, but Desrow just with really good force fields, all the Stalkers were able to chip away at those Vikings while not being able to be attacked by those Marauders.
It was also really poor positioning from Apocalypse. The Vikings were left right above the Stalkers, and
but I think he thought he was so far ahead, which I thought as well, that you know, it doesn't really matter. But apparently you can never underestimate Protoss.
Never underestimate. Desrow is the real response, as Desi's out with 4 Colossi, and he's going to begin marching across the map. I don't know if this is a good call, Desrow. You might have just won a great fight, but you're still down more than 60 supply. It's not time to start picking fights just yet. Another drop in the back of the main base is going to be defended, but that's all there is to it for now. As we see Apocalypse once more pressing forward. He's going to take out these rocks in the center of the map.
Of course, he's still in a super good position. His +3 is not ready yet. Desrow does have a small upgrade advantage. There is still a drop active in the main base as well. These few Marines all have like a nice amount of kills during all this. APOC went up to 4 bases. Once more, his Viking number is not that crazy, Ben. He only has 7 Vikings. Let's not forget that these are unupgraded Vikings. Desrow is out of position. I really feel if Desrow would have been on the other side of the map, that could have potentially gone good for him. Now he's going to lose his 3rd base. Yes, he will deal some...
This is just straight up base race mode, Kev. Apocalypse is completely maxed out. Desrow, of course, at only 140 supply, can easily force this base to lift and is going to press right over into the main, where he's going to kill lots and lots of stuff. I don't know how this is going to end, though.
I'm a little worried for APOC that his Viking number is too crappy. Despite being on double starport for so long, he only has 7 unupgraded Vikings. Actually, no, he has +1 already and +2 is on the way. Wow. That might help a little bit, but still, 7 Vikings against 5 Colossus.
Yeah, this is going to be
Army supply
bizarre.
is 124 against 103, but that's something that I think might be possible for Desrow, simply because of this low Viking number. Wow, if Desrow wins this game, man, I'd be so blown away. I don't know if it's possible, but
I think it might be very possible, Kev. Desi has taken out all but one of Apocalypse bases. He's picking off command centers right now.
He's going to lose that fort before +3 finishes up. That's a little unfortunate. It will give him some money back. Does he have probes out on the map? Yes, he does have 4 probes. 3 of them are stuck in the main. Is there one hero probe somewhere, Ben? Yes, there's one probe over here. This one probe is very important because that could eventually...
Oh, there he is. There he is. He's heading down to the corner. He could theoretically build a Nexus. He's also going to spot the...
It's really important that he can theoretically build a Nexus, because if it comes to that phase, then Desrow needs that option to still be able to build a Nexus. Look how close that probe is being surrounded.
He sees the rebuild.
Okay.
needs to pull back. There are still some buildings around the map as well. This planetary that was in place for Apocalypse has been completely wiped out. A lot of SCVs are going to go down to this.
Desrow needs to bring on the stalkers that he has left in the main to his to the rest of the army, because APOC wants to start picking a fight. Desrow is going to see it though with his hallucinated Phoenix. Time to regroup, Desi. Man, with all these Colossus, man, with the armor that they have,
I think it's possible. It really comes down to the engagement. Desrow also has... Oh, he's got no force field?
Yeah, he used a lot of hallucinations. But still, Desrow's army looks so scary. Look at these look at these Colossus numbers. How many Vikings do we have on the map? 9 Vikings against 5 Colossus. If Desrow is able to snipe those Vikings, it's a shame that he used so much
Apocalypse is going to fight on a ramp. That's very questionable. The Colossi in good spots. The Stalkers... Oh my God, the Colossi are ripping through the Marines. It's only Marauders left alive, and Desrow's gonna do it.
No,
Is he gonna do it? He's not gonna do it. Never mind. Well, you know. Sometimes that happens to the best of us.
No, it looked good for a while. All those Marines did indeed melt.
Man, Marauders are good.
Yeah, the fact is that he had all these medevacs still alive. So even when you have like 12 Stalkers against just 10 Marauders, these Marauders are going to absolutely rip your Stalkers. But that looked a little close. It is a bloody shame for Desrow that he used so many hallucinations right before that fight. Because if he's able to drop a few force fields and pop a Guardian Shield or 2, then it may have been possible.
He was gonna do it, Kev. I swear to God, I thought he was gonna do it. Unfortunately for Desrow, it doesn't go that way. Hey,
so we were both horribly wrong in this.
We all get them right once in a while. We also all get them wrong once in a while. So, APOC goes up 1-0. We're gonna kick it to a short break, guys. We'll be back in 3 minutes with game number 2 between Apocalypse and Desrow.